The Weed of the Week is sponsored by the Enlist Weed Control System from Dow AgroSciences, a new herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate.
Your farm tells a story, one that continues with the decisions you make. Introducing the Enlist Weed Control System, an advanced herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate for exceptional control of tough weeds. The next chapter begins.
Our weed of the week is Russian thistle. It looks a little bit like a Christmas tree when it's small. Unfortunately, it's not nearly as pleasant as a Christmas tree.
Well, no, because it can take away yield. And when we think about in corn production, we typically don't have a lot of Russian thistle because our pre-emerge herbicides are not too bad. Things like BalanceFlexx do a nice job controlling it early. Even Verdict has done a nice job too. Post-emerge, Roundup and Liberty have been fantastic on Russian thistle. And then of course, we've got Status available to us in corn. It's done a nice job.
Okay,
Russian thistle's no problem.
Yeah, but here's
corn.
the thing. You talked about resistance. What are you getting at with the resistance?
Well, one of the first things that we saw on our farm is we saw Russian thistle not dying when you'd spray ALS type products on it. So like in soybeans, for example, where we're using some Pursuit and it wasn't working on Russian thistle anymore. In wheat, there's a lot of products that are ALS family products that just don't work on it, like the Addition products, Addition Broadspec, Addition Tank Mix, the old Glean, those kind of products.
The big thing I look at is this doesn't have a lot of leaves on there, so it's hard to stick chemical on. So where we've seen issues also is when a guy is using too much water. And I know most chemical companies are going to tell you, use lots of water, use lots of water. No, you don't want to do that with Russian thistle when you're spraying it post-emerge, because what happens is your droplets aren't very concentrated and you can't get much for water on there. So you want to have very concentrated droplets.
Well, we can do a pretty good job in wheat and Russian thistle, but here's one of the things that a lot of guys miss. You can use a pre-emerge herbicide. Use Sharpen. Use a couple ounces of Sharpen Down, add that right in with your burn down. It's an awesome burn down product, plus it has residual on these small seeded broadleaves like Russian thistle.
Yep, otherwise Husky is pretty good post-emerge. Now when we get to
soybeans, at the high rate, I would say this, the standard rate, a lot of guys look at, well, I'm only going to spend this much on my wheat. Don't look at that. Look at what the rate it's going to take to actually kill the weeds. It may only cost you $2 more than what you're like, well, I'll only spend this. Spend the extra $2. Do a great job on a weed instead of kind of half kill it and set it back a little bit. That's where we end up with problems.
Okay, in soybeans we have a lot of things that'll control it. Pre-emerge. Post-emerge it gets a lot tougher, but pre-emerge we recommend putting one of the yellows down along with Sencor or Metribuzin, and then if you want you could throw some Valor or Authority. They're excellent as well.
And post-emerge in soybeans, what do you use besides FlexStar?
Exactly, that's the whole thing. So you can try Cobra, you can try a number of these other products. We have nothing that's great post-emerge in soybeans for Russian thistle control, so make sure you're using at least one pre-emerge herbicide. I'd prefer to see even 2 or 3 pre's, then you'll be in great shape with Russian thistle.
If it's not Roundup resistant in your area, then you can just use Roundup, and Roundup will get it. FlexStar would be the kicker that will also have a little bit of residual post-emerge.
You can also use Liberty, of course, on Russian thistle too. Well, that's it for our weed, Russian thistle, but stay tuned, Iron Talk is coming up next.